Hey loves, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this short dress. So the first thing to do is to print out the first layer of your pattern. Then measure the test square box to make sure that your printer is printing correctly. So if you get the correct measurements, go ahead and print out the rest of your pattern. You need two things. It's either you use tape or you use glue stick, and then you need fabric scissors. So here I'm just placing it like that, and then I'll be sticking it together using glue stick. So when you print yours, you see the space and then you see where you're supposed to place on each other. At the downside as well, you see the same star shape. You're going to stick it together. Go ahead and locate your size, cut it, and you could actually measure before you cut your size and adjust your size as well. So remember, you need to cut the fabric first before you cut the lining. These are all the materials I use. If you have a serger, you can use it instead, but if you don't have a serger, I show you a way you can sew yours without needing any serger. So ensure you place your fabric in the right direction, press first, and then go ahead and cut them out. So when you cut the main fabric and you want to cut the lining, go ahead and cut 1 inch out of your pattern. You see the line is already there. You cut them out so that you can see that the lining is shorter than the fabric. So these are all my pieces. This is for the pocket imitation, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer the back dart first. After I used pin to transfer the dart, I went ahead to draw my dart. I'll pin it, press it, and sew it first. So just remember, whatever you do on the main piece, do it as well on the lining fabric. Now after I was done with that, I set that aside, and then I went ahead to put interfacing on my pocket flap. When you're done sewing, don't forget to notch the edges so that it would be flat when you're ironing it out. So this is where your serger would be needed. You can just go ahead and zigzag it just as I'm doing. So if you're wondering what is those white things I put on my edges, they are just interfacing. So I just cut interfacing and then I iron them on. So what I was doing here is just to place the lining for the sleeve part on the main piece, and then I went ahead to sew first, iron it, and then I'll turn it and sew. So you see the way I'm sewing lining to lining and then the main piece to main piece. After I was done, I trimmed the edges, fold it inside, pin it, and then I press it. And then I went ahead to sew it as well. So I'll set the sleeve aside and work on the front part. So I'm just showing you what I did with the interfacing here. I'm just cutting it like that, placing it like that, but I'm very sure you don't need to do all of this. So I took the smaller piece of the front and then I place it where it says that to that. So on your pattern, you're going to locate where it says that to that. Don't forget to put your notch and then place where it says that to that so that you don't mix them together. So I sew that one first, come back, press it open, and then I'll snip the edges. Now I'm just pinning the curved part, which is like the princess part, together, and then I'll go ahead and sew as well. So now when I was done with this, I went ahead to place my pattern so as to know where to place the flap, the pocket flap we sewed the first time. When you place your pattern, secure it with a pin or just put some objects there, secure it, and then look for those tiny stars, and that's where you place your pocket flap, sew it together and top stitch. So when I was done, I just went ahead to place the front piece on the back piece and I sew from the shoulder space and then the side seam. So when I was done, I set that aside and then I put interfacing on the lining part. So I'm just ironing interfacing on the lining part here, so it's not on the main fabric. And as you can see, I'm ironing it from the hip side down, so I'm not coming from the upper part. I just came down from the lower waist down to the main piece. So before placing the lining on the main fabric, don't forget to snip all of the edges. So when I was done, I went ahead to sew the neckline first, and then I'll go ahead, snip it and top stitch the lining part. So when I was done doing that, I went ahead to sew the down part as well. Now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and fix the sleeve and the zipper. If you have a serger, just go ahead and sew down the lining and the fabric together before you place your sleeve. Or if you don't have a serger, you just want to fix the sleeve first on the main piece before you use the lining to cover it up. So I'm just going to slowly show you what I did here. I'm fixing it first on the main piece before I use the lining to turn it inside out. So when I was done doing that, I'll go right ahead and fix the zipper. I'm fixing the zipper as well on the main fabric, on the main piece, not on the lining this time around. So if you're using invisible zipper, you want to sew first on the edges of both the fabric and the zipper before you sew the main before you sew closely to the zipper teeth, if that makes sense. So first on the edges of my fabric with the edges of my zipper before I went ahead to sew closely to the zipper teeth. So when that was done, I'm just going to show you now how to use the lining to cover the sleeve part. So I've done one, I'll just show you the other one. So what you want to do is to turn your dress to the wrong side, and then you fold the sleeve inside like this, and then you use the lining part and you fold it just like you see. And I'll go right ahead through the zipper area to bring it inside out, so that the wrong side of both my lining and the main piece are showing out, just like that. And then what I have went ahead to pin, I'm just going to grab it from the inside and I'm just going to pin it round and sew it round. So what I've explained there is just to make sure that the wrong side of both the lining and the main fabric is what you see when you turn it, so it's just easier to sew that way. So when I was done with that, the next thing I'll do is to press the sleeve, and then I'll go right ahead to use my lining to cover the zipper area. Before that, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the back side, which is like the hip area to the hemline. So I'll finish that first, leaving a little bit of space on the lining side. So I'm just pinning lining to lining and fabric to fabric, but when I'm sewing from the fabric, I'll stop where my zipper stop, but when I'm sewing on the lining, I'm just going to leave a little space. Okay, so when I was done, I went ahead to just pin my zipper area together, and then I went ahead to sew. So when sewing the other zipper area, I'll use the small lining to turn it out. When I was done, I'll just go ahead and unstitch the little area I left open. And that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.